How many people would like to get paid the most appropriate amount for their services that they provide? Well, there are two things that make people negotiate about price. Price does not come into the equation except when two things are present. And when they're present, then the only thing really left, the primary thing left to do, is to deal with price. So what we're going to look at here right now is what are the two elements when they're there that price is what they start to negotiate. So let's take a look at it. The very first one is that you have a fully informed buyer, and number two is you have alternative sources of supply. So if you have a fully informed buyer and alternative sources of supply, then it goes to price. People then start to know, well, how much is it going to cost? I can get it somewhere else. Like when I grew up in Vermont, when I was a kid, my dad wanted to buy a new car, a new Ford. There was only one Ford dealership, so we didn't have alternative sources of supply. But now what? With the internet, what? We can go online, decide how many miles they're willing to travel, find every dealership within that time, tell them exactly what kind of car you want, and then they bid on it. And again, so what is going on is you've got price is the issue. If it's exactly the car you want, lowest price you buy. Same thing. Is the internet, are people getting more or less fully informed? Definitely going towards what? More and more informed. So then if we're moving towards a more fully informed buyer, what is the strategy you must have in order not to get price into the game? What you have to do here is you have to what? You can't change this because the internet's here, it's a structural change, you can't find it. So the only place you can do is make sure there's no other alternative. So what do you have to do? You have to stay unique. And by staying unique, then there is no alternative source of supply. Now how do you stay unique? Well, that all comes down to looking at basically the value that you are bringing to the table. Now there's a value hierarchy that you have to understand, is that you want to make sure your value is what? You want to make sure your value is unique value, and it has to be constantly improving. So we have a word that we created that we use, and it's called DyVal, which stands for dynamic value. So the first step to understand of the value hierarchy is that there are various levels of value, and you want to make sure you have the highest possible one. So what does the value hierarchy look like? Well, you start down here at the bottom, okay, you're dealing with the commodity level. Now, that's what? The only thing at a commodity level is price. Price. It's cutthroat. Half a cent people change. They don't say you have no loyalty. You go from the commodity level, you move up to the product level. So you got a product. And once you go to the product level, you move up to the service level. So if you look at the commodity to the product service, now think about your telephone. Is it a product or is it a service? Your cell phone, what? It's both. It's a service and a product. So what we're seeing now is sort of emerging here. Emerging of these two into a thing called offers. So very seldom is a product sold that isn't a service, and a lot of services have products that go with them. Then you move to the next level, and the next level is people are talking about it, but not many people pay much attention to it, and that is the experience level. So if you think about it, let's say buy a cup of coffee, which is a really simple example. If you go buy your own beans in the big bags and grind them yourself, it's going to cost you, what, very little, maybe 15 cents a cup. I don't know, I don't drink coffee. And then if you go and buy Folgers at a grocery store, I don't know, it's probably 50 cents, I'm just guessing, okay? If you go to 7-Eleven and get a cup of coffee, it's probably $1.50 maybe. Now, you want to go up to Starbucks, which is what? They're not selling this. They're selling what? Starbucks. What are they selling? They're selling the experience. And what are they charging for a cup of coffee? I don't know, latte, whatever it is. But the point is, they're selling it for like $3 to $5 a cup. All right, so that's $3 to $5 versus down here 15 cents. They're selling an experience. And by the way, if you think about it, if you know Starbucks, what do you think the number one commodity they sell? It's not coffee. What they're selling is milk. Milk. There's more milk sold at Starbucks than coffee. Now that, and why, what are they selling? They're selling the experience. And that's why all the talk and all the stuff they do there, they're selling an experience. Now that's a great level. Now what makes this so, the bottom line is that you've got to make sure whatever business you're in, what you're selling is above this line here. And that is because, why? Because every experience is what? Is unique. Your experience is different than mine, mine's different, so you want to sell experiences. What Disneyland does is they sell experiences. They're not selling rides and coffee. And so you can look, no matter what your business is, how do I make an experience? I mean, the Geek Squad that goes around fixing computers, they all look, with these, what do they call those, pen protectors you put in there? They all look like geeks, and they got white socks and funny looking cars. They're selling the experience. So we look at that, that's one level, but there's another level even higher than experience. There's actually 2 levels higher. The next level up is transformation. People will pay almost anything to get transformed. If you want to lose 50 pounds and get transformed, you're going to pay whatever it takes if that's that important. You want to transform. Predictable transformation is clearly the next level. So you've got, anytime you can move from the experience to the transformational piece, you're going to find that you can charge far more for this. I have a good friend who has a company that deals with very difficult clients. And they go and he coaches the most difficult people. They're really, really good at their business, but they are not very good with their people. So he has to go in there, and he works out a whole elaborate schedule through 360 surveys on how they transform the particular executives so that they behave better. When I found out that 93% of the time he was successful based on his method, I told him what he ought to do is increase his cost by 4 times and make it predictable. Because 93% of the time it works, then why don't you just say, I will do this for just cost, and give them the classic, basically, risk reversal. You don't pay me for a year. If the client gets better, you pay me 4x instead of x. By the way, they do this because they're in a world of hurt before it happens. So you want them to pay in advance, agree in advance, but pay after it's delivered. You don't want to do it and then get paid. So this way, people are in such pain, they're willing to pay 4x if you get 4x, 4 times the normal, because they want this guy to behave better. So you make it work, you get it done, a year later you get paid, but you're getting 4x. So what we did is he still got 93% of the people transformed based on his system, but he was making a little over 800% more profit because he was able to risk reverse this because he had predictable transformation. So what's going to happen here is, make sure that you don't, if you're down here, you got to figure out how to move it to here. If you can move it to here and then move to transformation somehow, or predictable transformation, this is the hierarchy of value. Now, DyVal means it's got to be dynamic. You can't stay. I mean, the internet changes everything. There's all kinds of free riders. Information's not going to change. It's going to